Hey, welcome back to the shop. My name is Eric. I thought today we would kind of just do a generalized tools to have, and you don't need $1 million in tools to do small engine repair or even work on farm tractors and stuff. But some of the basic things you can get that aren't very expensive. And one of the first things would be a spark tester. What does a spark tester do? Well, it shows you if you're getting fire from the coil to the plug. Now, if you got a bad plug, it's not going to fire down below. But you'll know the coil's good, and if you swap out the spark plug, then that'll solve your problem. But there's two styles. There's this style with the elbow, and then there's the straight style. So depending on what you're working on, like the chainsaw, sometimes I find these easier with the straight. But you plug this end into the spark plug itself. And then the other end, you're going to plug into the boot that coming down from the coil on whatever you're working on. Now when you turn it over, you'll see the light flashing as far as if it's getting spark from the coil to the plug. They're handy, they're inexpensive. You might as well get both, that way you're covered. I think they're around $4 or $5 a piece. And most of these tools you can get through your local Harbor Freight. Alright? If you're going to be working on chainsaws, you're going to want different wrenches depending on if it's a steel, Husqvarna, Poulan. You want to have as many of these as you can get. They're handy, especially if you're working on a customer machine and you go to the extent of where you file blades and stuff like that, the chain. Getting into the spark plug holes are a lot easier with these than they are with a socket. These are very inexpensive. If you're going to be working on like chainsaws, weed eaters, the biggest thing is the high-low jets on these carburetors. And you need a special tool. And the problem is each make and model has a unique pattern of what goes in. It used to be just a simple, real fine screwdriver and you could adjust everything. Not anymore. And they actually put plugs on them so that the typical homeowner can't get into to adjust them for air quality and pollution. So what you need to do is you need to invest in a set like this. And this gives me all of the ones that are out there, and depending on whether you need a half moon, full moon, each one is different. And I think at this point in time you can still get them on Amazon from Chinese sellers, because I know that through the distributors and manufacturers, as a shop, I can get a couple a year of each of these, and they're really expensive. Get onto eBay or Amazon, get the whole kit, like $15-20. It can be a lifesaver when it comes to adjusting those carburetors. You're going to want a tester, and this simply, it tests to see if you're getting current from this direction to this, where you're putting it on your wires. And as you're testing the wires down through in the whip on riding lawnmowers, what have you, you're looking to see if there's a break somewhere. And if there's no read on here, then it's not getting power through the system. We put this on the ground side of a battery and then start testing the wires to see if it lights up or doesn't light up. Again, Harbor Freight, they aren't that expensive, $6-7. Get the better ones. I mean, they make the cheapy ones, but get the ones that are a little heavier duty because they'll last. We went through a lot of the real cheap ones. Allen wrenches. This is kind of handy. I mean, I've got the SAE and metric. I like these, and if I'm working on the bench, I like the T-handled. Again, you can get these at Harbor Freight or the T-handles. T-handles are a lot nicer because they're about that long. We have them out on the bench in the shop. I didn't want to bring them in because I just got enough stuff here in front of me to go through. But a lot of your weed eaters and that stuff, they come apart with Allen, and you make sure you have the metric and the SAE. Not expensive. A must-have for every shop. This is a compression tester, and you'll see that there's different threads for different projects. How do we use this? Well, this gets hooked to this line. This line gets threaded into where your spark plug goes. So you got this is just a gauge, and then you have it connected to this hose here, and then this, you pick whichever thread you need for whatever application you're working on. And what we do is, once we get that into place, that we pull the engine over 6 or 7 times and then check the compression to see if what it reads. And we do this 3 different times. So we want the reading to be the same. Yeah, they don't put them in the case that good. But again, you can go crazy on what you want for a compression tester. But I'm going to tell you right now, Harbor Freight's works just as well, and it's not going to drain you dry. A lot of these tools you could purchase with your first job or two that you do. You're going to need the basics. I don't have them out because I know most of you guys already know it. You know, you need a screwdriver set, you need socket sets, you're going to need metric and SAE in all your sockets, wrenches, and the biggest thing is having a workspace that is lit up so you can see what you're doing. You know, you can even take the shed out back and put in some halogen lighting so that you can see what you're working on. If you can't see what you're working on, then you're going to have problems, especially if you're tearing carburetors apart. And you want a clean surface where you can put down paper towels or something so that you can see the parts. And what I tell folks to do is, when you're disassembling, start at the farthest point with your first piece and work your way back, so that when you get ready to put it together, you start at this end and start working your way back to the other end. The best way to do it is to do it. You know, that's how you learn. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want, and they are going to be helpful, but you still have to get into it and just tear it apart, see what it looks like. How does it work? That's the key. You know, we talked about with the oils yesterday. That was with the carburetor cleaner. You're going to want that. That's a must. Do not use starting fluid on gas engines. I'm telling you right now, don't do it. Because what you'll end up doing is either burning a valve out or scoring a piston, the cylinder, because it is too dry. We do get some of the starting fluid with lubricant that we use on our diesel tractors. We do not use starting fluid on any gas engine ever. Use carburetor cleaner. It will fire on it, and it's got enough lubricant in it to keep it from drying out the cylinder and your valves. Alright, so I hope some of this has helped you guys. Start out small. I mean, like I tell folks that are interested in getting into the business, any piece of machinery, you first have to make sure that it's got compression. If it's got compression, check see if it's got fire. If it's got fire going to the plug, give it a shot of carb cleaner and see if she fires up. If she doesn't fire up, then you have to go a little bit deeper. But if it fires up, then it should run. The only example of where sometimes will get you is a chainsaw. Because see, the chainsaws have crank seals, and that's on the bottom end. Your piston and your rings could be throwing great compression, but if you don't have enough on the bottom end with your crank seals, she's going to run too lean. It's going to get hot, and it's going to start melting stuff down. Alright, so on that note, you guys have a great weekend. Stay busy, and thank you so much for subscribing to the channel and commenting. Appreciate all of you. Thanks so much.